I wrote a book. It's called Marking the Milestone. When I was first given the opportunity to start a personal project, I thought, what could I possibly do? I mean, what is there that's not been done before? And then I thought, why do I have to do something new? I'm still young. I should start with something that's new to me. I had a lot of ideas. Some of them were very ambitious. I thought about maybe training an African grey parrot, or making a beautiful painting, or making the Mona Lisa completely out of Maggi or some other kind of noodles. But I had to choose one that was a bit more realistic than that. My first idea was actually to combine Indian and African art and make a painting from that. But when I started my project, I realized I wasn't really interested in that. I love art, but that wasn't my passion. So I thought about, what do I do in my free time? I realized I like writing, and I think my writing skills are pretty good, but they need a lot of improvement. So I thought, why don't I write something? Maybe I can just start a newspaper or something small. But then my friends advised me, why are you bringing yourself down? Why don't you just write a book? I thought, that's completely outrageous. I'm only 16. I can't write a book. That's really stupid. But after a lot of thought, I decided I wanted to try it. The goal for my personal project was to write a young adult's book capturing the teenage years of an average student, showcasing our priorities and thought process. The book will be written from a girl's point of view to further understand the communication gap between the two genders and also between adults. The area of interaction that I chose was health and social education. I chose this area of interaction because my book aimed to write. The book I aim to write will relate to this area of interaction because it aims to provide knowledge on a particular issue, concentrates in helping in changing the way a teenager thinks, communicates, and understands, and lastly, bring value to our priorities other than just education. I mean, think about it. When you were kids, you didn't really care about school. Your parents, your teachers, everyone told you, these are going to be important, you should go to school, you should do your homework. But when it came down to it, you were more interested in your video games or whatever else you do. My project will also aim to showcase the main events happening in an average teenager. These are the guiding questions that I chose throughout my project to work on. What is the difference between girls and boys' way of thinking? What are mandatory events that every teenager go through? There are some events that no matter how different you are from the next person, you go through them. They might not be in the same way, you might not have the same feelings or reflections about those things, but you go through them. In a way, you learn something that you can connect to on a flat platform with everyone. If you talk to the next person, you might think, I have nothing in common with this person. But when you actually continue talking about your teenagers, you can be like, oh yeah, when I was a kid, I cheated in my test also. Or I forgot my homework. I told my teacher my dog ate my homework. Or something like that. It might be small, but it's there. How did I maintain my process journal and how was it helpful to me? My process journal was a bit creative. It wasn't something that I wrote in every day, I'll be honest. I honestly, in the beginning of my personal project, I didn't really think about it much. What I did do was, I always had pieces of paper with me when I began writing. So I often wrote in them, or I made mind maps. And when I actually started thinking about my process journal, which was like 3 weeks into my project, I was completely confused because all the examples I'd seen, they were like Word documents and diary entries and blogs. I thought, that's completely not me. I can't be that sophisticated or organized to handle that. So I talked to my supervisor and he said it's completely fine if I don't give an entry every day, or even if I give like 10 entries in one day, that's completely fine. So this is how I continue to work. I think best when I'm creative, when I'm making something with my own hands. So most of what I did it by my hand. But for my process journal, so it looks a bit more formal and nice, when I was making the mind map, sometimes I learned new ideas that I never thought I had. Or maybe I just realized that, I don't know, I just enjoyed the whole process because I was able to put my thoughts into a more colorful way. Have you ever felt like you think in black and white, and once you like look at the paper or see a colorful paper, you suddenly get like this wide range of colors in your mind, and you're like, oh my god, I should do that. Process brief and reflection of my process brief isn't that long. When I started my personal project, I knew what I wanted to do. When I knew this, I wanted to write a book. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew what I wanted to write. I started by making a plot line, the exposition, the climax, etc. I started it, and at first I was like, what do I write? I know everything, but does it have to go in a certain order? So that's where my research came in. I did a lot of research saying, do I have to do the exposition first? Can I do it like second last at least, or something? But what I did was I started writing down all my ideas, everything I wanted to do in it, and it changed throughout. There's not a specific process or anything I followed. I just wrote, and then I went back and forth, changing continuously till the last moment of my deadline. Literally till 12 a.m. I was changing. My reflection was, I enjoyed my personal project a lot. I think it was because I enjoy writing and I enjoyed learning about my peers. I learned a lot about interacting. Before my personal project, I wasn't able to present like I am now. Like I wouldn't be able to say all of this. Mostly I'd just be very quiet, and my NYP coordinator would always be, Kanika, you have to be louder, I can't hear you. But I had to interact with so many people. I had to tell them about my book. I had to be like, can you please read it? It's about this. Can you check it out? Most people were like, oh, I'm really busy. I will check it out. But no one was really like, yes, I will do this right now. I had 3 friends. I'm very lucky to have them. One of my friends was actually my editor. Once I made my book, the whole thing, she edited the whole thing. She went through all my grammatical mistakes, and there were a lot of them. And she also read the book with me and was continuously helping me reflect. She was telling me that, oh, I really like this chapter, but I think you should do this. I'm like, well, that's true, but in the next chapter, I did this. So that was really helpful. I also interact with like a lot of people that I have never met, because I put my book on an online site, which if you want to read, I have the URL on the card, so you can talk to me later. I had to talk to different personalities, different age groups, some not even in their teenage years, but they're still into reading young adult books, which I think is great. So that was, at first it was really difficult to me. I thought, I don't know them, they have no reason to even listen to me or talk to me. I'm probably just boring them. But once I started talking, I realized a few people do care. And if you say the right words, or if you're confident in what you have done, you can do anything. Along with of course I use the health and social education for my AOI, but of course my ATL skills also came in, which is how do I learn best? Well, I already knew I learned best by doing something or writing down something. That I cannot sit there and listen to people go on and on. So that's why, that was one of the reasons I didn't think about making a video diary for my process journal. How do I know I learned best? Because that's how I've always learned. I mean, how else do you know? How do I communicate my understanding? I talk to people, I write, and also I do a lot of photography. So these pictures I've taken myself, and they're just shoes, but they have something for me. I don't know, I guess I just have a strange fascination for shoes, but they're like footprints, and footprints always leave a mark. And they don't have to be real, but have you ever heard the quote that you left footprints on my heart? Or something like that. So that's why I kind of named my book Marking the Milestones, and that's why I have shoes as my cover. Organization skills, I definitely learned that because I was always last minute. I'll do better next time though. Collaborative communication. Well, I'm communicating now. I collaborated with a number of people. My peers, my teachers, everyone, parents, I guess. That's my acknowledgements. I would like to thank Njambi Karubiu, who's not here, but she's my editor and a really good friend of mine. I'd like to thank Lawrence Willema, who's also not here, but he read my book and was always there for me when I asked, how do males think? Because at first I thought, okay, I have to from a guy's perspective, fine. I'll just take my thought, I'll flip it around. That's a male perspective. I was very wrong, because they're not that different from us. He was always there. He was always there telling me, no, that's not what we think, not the only thing we think about. And he was always telling me that where I'm going wrong in my thinking. And sometimes he was just there when I needed someone. Sorry. I don't know how to... Okay. Wait one second. I would also like to thank my supervisor because he was always helping me, talking to me, telling me, you need to do this. You need to do it now. So he was part of my organization. I'd like to thank Mona ma'am because she was also there, always pressuring me to do stuff. I'd like to thank my parents and everyone I know because some way you're included in my story.